In at the end of four Masechtas, ends of a similar ending off, which is mainly two Masechtas, which is Masechtas Brachas and Moed Katan. They both end off with the Maimer Azal that says that L'Asid Lavoi, it says that Talmidei Chachamim, they won't have Menucha, the Ein Lahem Menucha, there's no comfort for Talmidei Chacham, they're never settled, they're always uplifting themselves, they're always picking themselves up. Not in this world, not in the world to come, there never been Menucha. As it says in the Pasuk, Yelchu, Mechayel El-Chayil, Yiral Elokim Mitzin. Means you always have to go Mechayel El-Chayil, you always have to pick yourself up to higher levels. Therefore, you've never been Menucha on one level. That's the end of Maseches Brachas. The end of Moed Katan ends off on very similar lines, but there's just one difference. It uses a different lashon to tell us that Talmidei Chacham don't have Menucha. It doesn't say Loi ba'olam hazeh, but Loi ba'olam haba. It says Afilu la'olam haba, which means even in olam haba they don't have Menucha. The Rebbe's medayik the difference between why in Maseches Brachas does it use the lashon not in olam hazeh, not in olam haba, and in Moed Katan the Gemara changes the lashon, although it said that what's understood from it is the same, that there's never Menucha for a Talmid Chacham. So you understand that the same thing from the end of Brachas and the same thing at the end of Moed Katan, just the lashon is a drop different. In Brachas it says not in olam hazeh, not in olam haba. In Moed Katan it says even in olam haba there is no Menucha. And the question is why? There's two more questions on the end of that Gemara. In short is that in the earlier case in the Gemara says that someone that leaves a Beis HaKnesses to the Beis HaMedrash, he's zeichen is mekabel pnei Ashchina. So in Brachas it says someone that leaves from a Beis HaKnesses to a Beis HaMedrash is zeichen mekabel pnei Ashchina. In Moed Katan he adds in another phrase over there. V'hayetzim in Beis HaMedrash to Beis HaKnesses. Which means he also adds from a Beis HaMedrash to a Beis HaKnesses after he says someone that goes from a Beis HaKnesses to Beis HaMedrash. A third difference that we have between the two Masechtas is that the Seder of where it says when a person leaves his friend, he should say Leich Lishalom, and he should not say Leich Bishalom. But if a person goes away from a mace, he has to say Leich Bishalom. That's the end of Brachas. One of the cases at the end of Brachas, it says that if a person leaves his friend, he shouldn't say Leich Bishalom. He should say Leich Lishalom. Go to peace and not go in peace. Another one, you go away from someone that's a mace, a nifter min a mace, you say Leich Bishalom. In Moed Katan, it switches around the order. It says first, a nifter min a mace, someone that's nifter min a mace, he should not say Leich Lishalom, he should say Leich Bishalom. But if a person's nifter min a chai, he should say Leich Lishalom. The answer to all these questions is all with one explanation, which this is understanding what does it mean b'chlal that we say that Talmidei Chacham don't have Menucha. Seemingly, we say this every single Shabbos in benching. Which means L'Asid Lavoi, we will have Menucha forever. So does that contradict the Gemaras that say that there's no Menucha for Talmidei Chacham, not in olam hazeh and not in olam haba? So the explanation is basically what it's brought down in Kabbalah Sarizal. Also brought the Marsha also explains it. That what does it mean Talmidei Chacham don't have Menucha? The Marsha explains that it's going on two different kufas b'chlal. This that says that Talmidei Chacham don't have Menucha, that's going on olam haba, which is olam of the Gan Eden before Tchias HaMesim. It says that Talmidei Chacham will have Menucha, Yom Shkol Shabbos and Menucha, that's going on after Tchias HaMesim. That's when everyone will have Menucha. And Kabbalah Sarizal, he says on the similar terms, it's two levels, that even in Olam Haba there's going to be a level of Menucha. But how do you say there's a level of Menucha if it says Ein La Menucha? He says that in this level of Menucha it's going to be, even on our Aliyas, that will be L'Asid Lavoi, it will be in a way of Menucha. Even by Tchias HaMesim it will be in a way of Menucha, because you can't say that there's no elevations at Ein Kates, even L'Asid Lavoi. Why can't I say that? Because since Torah is Ein Sof, since Torah has no limitations, you cannot say a Talmud Chacham would have Menucha in his elevations of Torah. You can always pick yourself up in levels of Limud HaTorah. Now, what does it mean elevating yourself in Limud of Torah in a way of Menucha? So here we get into a whole idea of what we can see today in our Limud HaTorah, where a person can elevate himself in his Limud HaTorah, and basically this will understand the differences of any aliyahs that a Talmud Chacham has in Olam Haba, which is in Gan Eden before Tchias HaMesim, and the type of aliyahs that would happen when Mashiach comes, which is in Tchias HaMesim, which that is when a person is mechadash in Torah over here. There's a difference between a chidush in Torah and Torah Sheba'al Peh in general, which is a similar difference between Torah Sheba'al and Torah Sheba'al Peh. Torah Sheba'al is a clear-cut Torah. There's nowhere to add. You can't add anything. There's no explanations. A lot of things are written bekitzer, beremez. It's exact, clear-cut what it is in Torah Sheba'al. Torah Sheba'al Peh breaks down every single thing in Torah Sheba'al and explains what it said in Torah Sheba'al in a more clear way. But still, nothing can be added over the Shleish Semidas Shater and Deshvan. Nothing's added on your own account. Chidushim on Torah, on the other hand, is not the idea of Gzeres HaKosuv. It's not the idea of things that it's exact and it's like that. Chidushim is what you make up. And that's what it says in Torah. Now, all Chidushim, any Chidush that a Talmud Vasig is Mechadish, was given to Moshe Rabbeinu on Har Sinai. If it was given to Moshe Rabbeinu on Har Sinai, then you were Mechadish it. The Rebbe uses a very interesting lashon over here. The Rebbe says, I didn't find any explanation in Nigla on this. What does this mean? Therefore, I'll give my own explanation on it. Which in Nigla, it's not explained anywhere what this means. Is it a Chiddush? Or was it Nitl Moshe Misina? It doesn't make sense. Kol Chiddush, Kol Mash Tam Vas Asal Chadish, Kol Nitl Moshe Misina. What does that mean? Was it given to Moshe Rabbeinu on Har Sinai already? Or am I being Mechadish it? If I'm being Mechadish it was not given on Har Sinai. It was given on Har Sinai, so it's not a Chiddush of me. So seemingly a contradiction. The Rebbe teaches us that the explanation is the Yidden are found by Hashem, as you know, that Yidden Yisrael all of Machshava. Torah only comes from the Chachma of Hashem. Yidden are even greater than Chachma. They're coming from all of Machshava, the level that's even higher than the Machshava of Hashem. Which is even before the Chachma of Torah, that's where the Yidden come from. And therefore, a Chiddush that a Yid makes in the time of Golus right now, he's Nechadish something, he makes something new, he's actually, because Hashem knows everything that would happen in the future, inside that level, inside Atzmos, everything, therefore even things that happen in the future, Hashem already knew that it's going to happen back then. Since a Yid comes from a level that's even before Torah, his Chiddush that he made thousands of years after the Torah was given, even 3,000 years after the Torah was given, because of that Chiddush that he made all the way then, Hashem already gave it by Matan Torah, all out of the effect that the Yid did, which is even greater than Torah. Based on this, now we understand the difference of how it is in Olam Haba, that before Tchias HaMesim, what does it mean Talmidei Chacham don't have Menucha in Olam Haba? And this that, which means before Tchias HaMesim, this that they do have Menucha by Tchias HaMesim, but they will still have Aliyas. Because what type of Aliyas do you have? If it's Mitzad, this that you're trying to elevate yourself in learning of Torah, which means before the coming of Mashiach. It's not that you're basically working on something that already exists in the world, which means you're learning Torah Sheba'al Peh, everything is already set up, all the kushias, all the questions, all the answers, even this that you're in Limud Torah and so on, it's all based off this, that the base of the understanding of Torah that was given to a Yid already in the time of Golus, before the idea of a Chidush in Torah, how you're connecting to Atzmos, which means it's all based off this that was already given, and you have no Menucha. Why? Because you're trying to reach something that was already given. Which means something that was already passed down from Moshe Rabbeinu, the idea of Torah Sheba'al Peh, Moshe Misina, and so on, things that are based off the Gzeres HaKosuv, that are just being more explained. Then there's the higher level of Chidushim in Torah, that will be revealed to us, the greatest Chidushim, things that which here the Rebbe says we can have a taste of this through writing our own Chidushim now, that we're connecting ourselves and becoming unified with Atzmos. When a Yid is unified with Atzmos, it's not like in a way that I'm trying to work on something that was already given. Something that you are actually creating now. When you're one with Atzmos, that's the total level of Menucha. It's something that you yourself is creating. You're not trying to build up to something that already exists, but you're actually creating it. That's why we call it the total menucha, even though it's still considered aliyas, but it's aliyas in a way of menucha. Based of this explanation, we understand now the three differences that we said at the end of brachas and me'et katan. Brachas represents on a yid's constant, the whole Maseches brachas speaks about how a yid has to act in this gashmistika world, which means our day-to-day conduct, Chaim. I have to get up in the morning, say brachas, daven, and so on, the regular conduct of a yid, which represents a conduct of a yid in the time of Golus. It's not something that's getting out of our limitations, something that's out of the ordinary, something that's part of the ordinary in Golus. That's why there the Gemara ends off, Talmidacham ein la menucha, leiva elam hazeh, leiva elam haba. It's going on elam haba, how it is before Tchias HaMesim, before we come into a totally new era where we're totally united with the essence Atzmos. That's why it's also the two differences of why it only says Hayetzim Beis HaKnesses LeBeis HaMedrash. Which Beis HaKnesses represents your davening, and then you come to the level of learning Torah, and then I'm trying to elevate myself to the learning of Torah. But after learning Torah, I'm not trying to reach a higher level of davening, which davening represents on a yid's connection to Atzmos. He's not yet building himself up to be totally unified with Atzmos, to have the aliyas in the way of total menucha, creating a totally new existence. And also that's why the Medrash, the Maimer Azal of where it says Hanifter min achai and Hanifter min ameis, he ends off Hanifter min ameis. Tell him Leich Bishalom. That's it. Your end of your Aveda. After you have enough, after you try to build up as much as you're able to understand of Torah, that's it. You're done. You already finished the amount of aliyas you're able to do, and that's it. You're Nifter min ameis. You tell him Lech Bishalom, not Lishal, not to elevate yourself to a higher level of peace. But that's it. That's your peace that you have. The idea of Bishalom. Then is Meseches Me'et Katan. Meseches Me'et Katan represents some special occurrences that happen during the year. Chol HaMoed, or other special occurrences that happen in the year. That's the idea of Me'et Katan. It's Chol HaMoed, something that's higher than our regular ordinary day. That represents on the Geula. We'll all elevate ourselves to the level of Atzmos. There the Gemara ends off with the idea of when it says Hayetzim Beis HaKnesses LeBeis HaMedrash, it goes back and says Hayetzim Beis HaMedrash LeBeis HaKnesses, because there's a higher level. Even after I worked on learning Torah, based off what's understood according to Torah, I build myself up to a much higher level, which that's the revelation of Atzmos alone. And then it's also the idea of Anifter min achai. After he says Anifter min ameis emer leich b'shalom, he says Anifter min achai emer leich lishalom. Because that also represents that I'm not going to the level of peace and that's it. It ends by the level of shalom. It ends with lech bishalom, but I can always elevate myself to a higher level. Mitzad atzmos alone, how Torah is mitzad the essence of Hashem, how that is where a yid is totally one with Hashem. Yisrael the level where a yid is totally unified with Hashem. That there's no questions anymore. Everything's in a way of not that I'm totally frustrated on trying to understand something that was already given. But something that you yourself is being mechadish, something that you yourself inside your koach ha'atzmos that's even higher than koach ha'Torah that was already given, which means that the level of Torah that you are creating right now, because Hashem knows what you're going to create in the future, He already gave it then. But it's really your own chiddush. You are actually mechadish it, and that's what will be revealed la'aseh lavoi. That's the idea of lech lishalom, always continuing. And the main thing is after all these chidushim that we have in time goes through our chidushim in time goes, we should be zeicha to the main chiddush of Torah Chadash Miditetzi, this galus of the Rebbe Melech HaMashiach Shli that take it from Yad Mamash now. Chi Yadineinu Meim Rabbeinu Melech HaMashiach Le'elam V'ed. Chi Yadineinu Meim Rabbeinu Melech HaMashiach Le'elam V'ed. Chi Yadineinu Meim Rabbeinu Melech HaMashiach Le'elam V'ed.